up in this sport. He put him away. It was both trucks had their cards on the table. Mad Dog just nailed the current national champion, Richard.
So one of the Bad Breen brothers comes to the finals last week where he faced Bigfoot, and in the end, it was Bigfoot getting his 4th win in the last 5 races.
Andy Brass is looking awfully good for this year. Breen working after Brass. Keep an eye on this Mad Dog truck. I keep talking about him, but he's something to talk about. He has really found a lot of horsepower somewhere.
Well, Bigfoot got the win last week, but keep your eye on Mad Dog and also the Carolina Crusher, 2 guys that are really coming on fast on this circuit. Then we're going to move to Louisville's Freedom Hall, where you're going to see tractors that you can really relate to. We're talking about the championship tractor pull and the pro stock tractor division.
One of the most popular classes at the National Farm Machinery Show. They call them smokers. You could see just a moment ago why they do that. However, the building is set up to pull all the exhaust out of the building, so the 18,000 plus fans here can see all the action. They'll be pulling for the brand that they drive, Richard.
And this is Bill Vorez driving the Orion Express. He's out of Argos, Indiana. He is going to be our test puller tonight.
What Bill is going to do is take his shot, and you notice the smoke starting to come out. He'll take that first shot, then the rest of the field will adjust according to what they say the sled is going to be set. One thing that's interesting is the amount of ground speed that these vehicles have. Notice how quick he's going down the track. The crowd's coming up. They're really getting into it in Freedom Hall. Oh, what a run. He put it on the beach.
He sure did. A full pull as our test puller. No doubt he'll accept that pull, provided the officials determine the track and the sled to be official. So we've got great action ahead at his pro stock tractor competition, part of the championship tractor pull from Louisville's Freedom Hall. But when we return, we're going to be back with our qualifying round of monster truck racing. Bigfoot will be the first to come out as we come back to Long Island, New York with more of Tuff Trax.
When
TNT Motorsports welcomes you back to Tuff Trax. We are inside the Nassau Coliseum, ready to rock and roll with TNT's Monster Truck Challenge. And Army, it is time to go qualifying, and qualifying very important on this circuit.
Well, this session is going to be awfully important because everybody wants to get quick time. The reason being is in any qualifying effort, the quick time is going to have a easier run in the first round of elimination. Speaking of quick time, look who comes out first, Richard Lee.
It is Andy Brass, the driver of Bigfoot. He's won 4 out of 5 this year already in 1989, and he looks like a nice, smooth run.
Yeah, definitely. Good
for
run.
Bigfoot out of St. Louis, Missouri, 5.36 seconds. So that will be the established qualifying time to beat. Our next driver coming out is a guy that since he has moved into 1989 with a brand new vehicle, he has been running super. We are talking about John Moore, the no-problem Ford Bronco out of Lafayette, Tennessee.
Now Moore trying to go quicker than a 536. He can do it. Remember, earlier this year, Moore upset Bigfoot. He found a combination with a 460 cubic inch Ford engine. Let's see what's going to happen. A little bit of a bounce. I believe Bigfoot's time is going to stand for quick so far, Richard.
Well, a lot of these drivers, 6.92 seconds for no problem. A lot of these drivers, Army, tend to take it easy in qualifying, wanting to protect and save their equipment for later competition when they go side-by-side racing. Now, our next driver coming out is your defending national champion. It is Rowdy Rod Litzow out of Spring Lake Park, Minnesota. It's USA 1 to Chevrolet.
Well, you call him Rowdy Rod. I'm going to start calling him Flip, Flop, and Fly. This fella has gone through about 5 weeks that I wouldn't want anybody to go through of getting the truck upside down. They're really attacking the track. Look at this. He keeps his foot right up in it. Let's see if he goes quicker than Bigfoot's 536. Not going to do it.
549 for USA 1. Army, I notice there's quite a bit of bounce at the end of the track there.
What they're trying to do is to get the chassis dialed in. You'll notice the cars are running over right now are smashed down quite a bit. They've competed on this same course earlier. The chassis is going to be so very important. I'm wondering if at 536 a Bigfoot's going to stand. If anybody can bump it away, it might be this young man coming out next, Richard.
Talking about Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. He is driving a brand new Chevrolet. He's got a new color scheme on the side with Carolina Crusher painted there, and he has been one of the fast rising stars of late.
Looking good. Porter comes after him. A little bit of pop of blue smoke comes out. He runs the engine real fast. You notice the smoke coming out the exhaust. Hey, looky here. winner, a 5:26. A Chevrolet goes into the quick qualifying time.
We have got a new leader in qualifying. It is a Chevrolet. He knocks the Ford out of the #1 spot. As getting ready next, you're in for a real treat. A beautiful vehicle coming out belonging to Gary DeMauro. It's called Taurosaurus Rex. He's kind of a hometown guy. He's from right down the road, Bergenfield, New Jersey. And an interesting story, Army, he is still waiting for the birth of that child.
Yeah, as soon as he finishes his qualifying shot, he'll go back to a telephone located in the pit area and wait for his wife to call. Hopefully, he's going to be able to get this event in before the boy's birth, of his child. We wish him all the luck in the world. A 736, not really an attack truck, but believe me, the crowd here really gets behind him with all the flashing lights and everything, Richard.
That beady-eyed beast, by the way, that is a functional wrecker. As a matter of fact, he and his wife work for a tow company, and that is one of the wreckers that they do use actively. Our next driver coming out, a real class guy, a real big guy, too. As a matter of fact, I'd walk down any dark street with him. Jesse Berge, we call him the Mountain Man. He's from Wyoming, Michigan. It's called Playing for Keeps. It's a Chevrolet with a 446 engine in it.
Jesse, kind of the gentle giant of the sport. He's had a problem this year, not any horsepower. He makes a tremendous amount of horsepower, but the chassis is not working. He gets a lot of bounce that he doesn't need. Same thing this afternoon. You notice how when the truck went through the finish line lights, he hooked it to the left. He's got to get that figured out. A 652, not what he was looking for, Richard.
Jesse, 30 years old. He's been on the circuit now 4 years. Started racing at the age of 12. He was a soapbox derby participant, and he's moved right on through stock car racing. Now he's in these gigantic monster trucks. Coming out next, one of the Bad Breen boys. This is Bob Breen, the wild hair driver. It's a Chevrolet. He's out of Jefferson City, Missouri.
He'll be lining up with the Breen Boys big racing toys, they call it. This runs a stock Chevrolet engine. The engine's located to the rear. And the Breen Boys have made kind of a warning to the rest of the drivers in 89. You're going to have to keep an eye open for the Breen Boys because they're going to be coming after you all over the country chasing these national points. A 7.56. Not a bad run considering the horsepower he had, Richard.
But that is our slowest time of the day also, Army. So maybe Bob Breen saving his equipment for later competition. Coming out next, I like this guy. It's Starvin' Marvin Smith, a Stomper Chevrolet out of Arnold, Missouri. A lot of little people around the country had little Stomper trucks under their Christmas tree this year.
I'll tell you what, this fellow represents the Stomper name awfully well, as well as the Chevrolet cams. Always has a big smile on his face, but right now he is serious, qualifying out of the right lane. Trying to go quicker than a 5.26. Leaves real good. He's got a good run going. 5:26 is the quick time. Let's see what he turns.
5:92. That is going to put him up into the top 5 right there. As we will be, now these qualifying times determine our pairings in our first round of action.
Yeah, you got to remember the top half is going to be paired against the bottom half in the qualifying session, so he's going to be okay. He's at the bottom of the top half, which should put him down closer to the low qualifying. But look who comes out now. That quick time may be in jeopardy.
I think this is the best of the Bad Breen brothers. It is John Breen, Mad Dog. He is driving a Chevrolet Blazer, kind of a modified Blazer, but it is in fact a Blazer.
Left the start line like a rocket. Richard Leak, we might have quick time. I don't know, but it was an awfully good run.
You know, last week when we interviewed him, oh, look at there.
Yeah.
5.19. He takes over as our top qualifier. 5.19. You know, last week, Army, when he got that upset win, I called it an upset. You didn't, and neither did John Breen. He came out and said, hey, I won that thing fair and square, and I'm out to win everything.
Yeah, he believes in, and I believe in this kid, too. Now, he's been around this sport for a long time. He had about a year of some bad luck. He and his brother teamed up doing some research and development. I think they're pulling all their knowledge, and it's starting to pay off as he goes a 5:19 quick time of the afternoon.
And get ready for our first Chrysler product. As a matter of fact, our only Chrysler product coming out. It is Gary Wiggins, called the Mopar Magic. It is a 1986 Dodge Power Ram.
Well, as we go around the country, all the Dodge fans, they can stand up and cheer for Gary because he lays down some awfully good runs. He relies on the Hemi for horsepower. Mopar Magic had to back pedal at half track. It's going to cost him some important time.
Now, what do you mean by back pedal?
Had to pull out of the throttle, get the truck straight, and then go back in the throttle. Still nets a 6.36.
That is not a bad time for Gary Wiggins out of Williamston, North Carolina, and the Mopar Magic Dodge. Coming out next is a vehicle I call Pretty in Pink. He doesn't like me saying that, and he'll tell me that. Bennett Clark. It's called Clydesdale. Bennett, as you well know, a former professional rodeo bull rider. This is a brand new Chevrolet combination.
Well, Richard, before he was a bull rider, he was involved in the Olympics. He was actually an athlete at a younger age, wasn't he?
A junior Olympic champion. And he's going to have a slow time.
Yeah, the motor just not making the horsepower he needed. He's going to be making a jetting change. I guarantee you the motor was real fast. Goes to 709. Definitely, he can go much quicker than that.
And then there was one, and look who it is. I see him coming through the tunnel next. It is the awesome Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson. It's a 1950 Chevrolet body, but it has got an engine in it, Army, that generates over 1,800 horsepower. It's called the most powerful monster truck in the world.
Well, this engine will have to come out and because of a rules change, but that doesn't bother him at all. I think the engine has been 90% of his problem. He's making so much horsepower. 2,000 horsepower, you're trying to yank around about 13,000 pounds. That's got to come back to haunt you. But wherever he goes, the crowd, look at that.
Look out!
That's why the crowd loves him. Oh.
Boy, am I glad I wasn't a passenger in the Gravedigger.
Well, I tell you, we're standing down here at the end of the track. We need to get a sponsorship by a tennis shoe company if he's going to keep running, because this guy was putting everybody up into the bleachers.
Army, correct me, I may be wrong, but I thought it looked like he did not have front-wheel drive on that vehicle coming down.
Well, Richard, what it is, he has to drive so different from anyone else because the engine is located all the way to the rear. He's got to get the front end up. He's almost like walking a dog. He's got to put it on the back wheels to make it work. He attacks the track like no other driver in the sport, but the landing, he comes down hard, blowing out the right rear tire. However, I believe he and the crew will be able to get it fixed for the first round.
And that wraps up qualifying. When we come back, it's Louisville's Freedom Hall for Pro Stock Tractor Pulling with more of Tuff Trax. Back to Tuff Trax, TNT Motorsports with the Pro Stock Tractor Division. Already, Bill Borres has made a full pull aboard the Orient Express. However, fluid was leaking from the engine at the end of the pull. Let's go trackside with Mike Goss to find out if Bill's going to be able to get it fixed in case of a pull-off.
Bill, it looks like you came here to win tonight.
Yeah, I did. I got a little problem here I got to work on, but we'll be back.
What is the problem?
I got broken fuel line. We'll get it fixed.
So maybe a tough break for Bill Borres, Army. He makes a full pull as the test puller. That is good news, but bad news is if there's a pull-off, he may not be there.
Well, he seemed to be he was very nonchalant about the fact he lost the fuel line. To me, I would be worried about leaning the engine out. Bill didn't seem to bother him at all. He's getting with the crew. They're getting it squared together. He's working on one end of the track. However, going to the sled on the other. Everybody else is under a whole lot of pressure now because they must make a full pull, just like Bill did, and come back and get him in a pull-off.
Well, our next puller coming to the line will be Mike Linder. He is out of Edison, Ohio.
When these vehicles run down the track, you'll notice there's a large tube that sits above and behind them. We're going to explain that a little bit later. As Mike sits patiently on the sled waiting for the go signal from the track crew. Very patiently, he'll wait. Richard, there's a tremendous amount of loyalty, isn't there? With the John Deere tractors go up, the John Deere fans cheer. When the Allisons come out, everybody gets behind their favorite. And look at this. We've got one out and another one going after him in a big way. I cannot believe the ground speed they're running inside this building.
The John Deere fans are on their feet. Mike Linder has just taken it the distance of this track in Freedom Hall, our second consecutive full pull.
You know, it is amazing watching these fellas run because they look like field tractors, but that looks is where that stops.
And our next puller, John Wilkins, he calls his tractor Shotgun Red. He's out of Fresno, Ohio. I wonder if he's any kin to the shotgun that's on the Nashville Network.
You know, I don't know, but I like the name some of these fellas have on the tractor. Like you say, we've got the Shotgun Red, the Rev Rascal, all kind of really neat names are in competition this afternoon. Now, the pressure again on him. You've got to make it out of here, and he's going to do it. Richard, these fellas have figured this track out.
The International Harvester tractor goes up full pull also. We are 3 for 3 on taking it the full length of the track, Army.
Richard, these fellas watch each other all the time, and when I run with you enough, I'll know characteristics of your vehicle, and that's what they've done. When they saw the first one go out, they went back and made adjustments, and I'll look for some more to go out of here, too. Who's going to be coming up next?
That is Steve Raudebush. He is driving the MF Express. He is out of Westfield, Indiana.
Now, when they make the run, one thing that's kind of interesting that they have here at Louisville, Kentucky, is the way they pull the exhaust out of the building. You notice the exhaust comes up and goes back straight over the driver's head. It goes into a large tube, Richard. Where that tube goes is through a series of fans. They pull the exhaust out of the building. Were it not for that tube, we would not be able to run this particular class indoors, and it is one of the most popular classes in the sport, and this is why. All the manufacturers are getting out of here tonight.
Make it 4 for 4. We've seen 4 pullers. We've seen 4 full pulls. This time, Steve Roudabush takes it all the way. Army, this is surprising to me. I would think that maybe the sled would have been reweighted or something after our test puller to prevent this from happening as we get ready next for Randy Hinton. It is called the Red Rascal. He's out of Bancroft, Iowa.
Well, Richard, in reference to the sled, what they do is once a track crew makes a commitment, it's kind of like driving off a diving board. You got to live with it. Once you leave, you got to go. And the drivers, they kind of, you know, it may have been like a little card game. They may have been holding their cards close to their chest and said, well, he barely make it out. I don't know if I can or not. Knowing full well they could get it out of here. But the bottom line is they've actually put more pressure on themselves because now, again, as we said earlier, they must make that full pull and come back and pull again. And that means they're going to have to run these powerful engines twice tonight instead of just once.
Well, here comes another International Harvester tractor. This is Randy Hinton, and he is rolling.
Again, the ground speed is phenomenal. A tremendous show these fellas are putting on in Louisville, Kentucky. Another full pull. This is awesome. This is wild, Richard.
And, of course, this is the most prestigious pulling event indoors anywhere in the world. It's all part of the National Farm Machinery Show, and these thousands of fans in Louisville's Freedom Hall, boy, they have got their favorite tractors, and they stick with them as we see Don Masterson. It's called the River Rat. He is out of Grandview, Indiana. And looky here, all the green jackets are standing up in the crowd because it's a John Deere tractor.
Well, again, the green pull for you pull for the brand that you drive. It's kind of like watching a NASCAR race when all the Chevrolet people pull for Chevy, the Ford people pull for Ford. In this sport, if you got a John Deere, you're going to be pulling for this young man out of Southern Indiana, and you got a winner. He put it definitely in this sand pile. He put it on top of the sand pile, Richard Lee.
This is unbelievable. 6 pullers have come to the line. 6 pullers have gone the complete length of this track with full pulls. We're going to be back with more of Pro Stock Pulling a little bit later on Tuff Trax. But coming up next, it is the Monsters as they go side by side, door-to-door racing from Long Island, New York. It's coming up next on Tuff Trax. And welcome back to Tuff Trax. TNT Motorsports Monster Truck Challenge is in Long Island, New York, the Nassau Coliseum. And here's the way they paired off. After qualifying, your top qualifier, Mad Dog, takes on 7th fastest Mopar Magic. Number 5, Gravedigger, facing 11, Pterosaurus Rex. Number 3, Bigfoot, takes on number 9, No Problem. Now, the numbers indicate their qualifying position. Number 4, USA 1, takes on number 10, Clydesdale. 6th fastest Stomper will face the 12th fastest Wild Hair. Then it's number 2, Carolina Crusher. He'll take on our 8th fastest monster truck, Jesse Berge, and playing for keeps. So we're ready to go door-to-door racing. And Army, some of these guys are not going to be coming out to race according to the brackets. That's because they're working on the machines back in the pit area. So we're going to kick it off with Bigfoot taking on John Moore and No Problem. That is Andy Brass and Bigfoot. Ford against Ford.
Andy Brass comes out. He qualified 4/10 of a second quicker than Moore, and it showed right there. Brass marches on. Could this be the start of another winning march for Bigfoot? We don't know.
Well, you know, Bigfoot had won 4 out of 4 races. Then he got knocked off last week, so he still has been the winner of 4 out of 5 events in 1989. Andy Brass and Bigfoot with a new look in New York, and the thousands here in the Nassau Coliseum love him.
You know, as always, wherever we go, people really love Bigfoot. It's almost like Bigfoot is a person, has a personality all its own, and Andy Brass represents that truck awfully well. But look, who's coming out now? We know one Ford's going to advance called Bigfoot. Stomper comes out. Who's he going to be going up against, Richard?
Well, that is Marvin Smith and Stomper, and he is going to be facing one of the Bad Breen brothers. This is Bob Breen and the Wild Hair Chevrolet. On paper, it ought to be an easy win for Stomper.
Yeah, but Richard, you don't win races on paper. However, he will advance. Smith, he's He's smart. He's driving the track awfully smart. He's not really attacking it. I think he's looking down the road at the next round of eliminations.
A nice smooth run and a nice good win for Starvin' Marvin Smith in the Stomper Chevrolet. I think he likes his track.
Okay, now this is the third opportunity in Long Island, New York, you've had to actually run on this same track, the third session, the third race. How much different is it now than it was in that first race?
Well, I tell you, as the track gets older and older, the cars get more holes in them. It gets rougher and rougher. It's actually better on the first night.
Thank you very much. We wish you all luck.
Thank you very much.
What he's talking about when he says holes in a car, after a while when the vehicles jump and land, they'll start smashing out one part more than the other. Usually it's the hood, the trunk. When they develop a hole, you don't want to get a wheel or tire caught in that hole because it'll hook you. We're going to be keeping an eye on the track the rest of the evening. Let's go on with the action.
All right, coming out next is going to be another premier Chevrolet. It is Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher. He's out of North Carolina taking on Jesse Berge and the Chevy playing for keeps out of Michigan.
Both drivers leave side by side to Carolina. Oh, look, you're talking smooth. That was a picture-perfect run, Richard.
And a picture-perfect win for Gary Porter. You know, Army, I think he could be one of the top 5 drivers in the country right now.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. And each week he's getting used to the new truck. Each week he's closing in, closing in, closing in.
Gary Porter has been monster truck racing for 4 years, 27 years old. And coming out next, a couple more veterans on the circuit. We are talking about the Mopar Magic Machine of Gary Wiggins. It is a Dodge, a 1986 Dodge, and he is taking on John Breen and Mad Dog.
John Breen with a quick qualifier tonight with a 5:19, and he advances. Breen has found something, Richard Lee, and he won't tell us what it is, but he's definitely figured something out.
John Breen, obviously the baddest of the Breen brothers. He gets the win and moves on. Kind of a surprising top qualifying time tonight for John Breen, and it pays off.
You know, I think it surprised everybody but John Breen. You know, Richard, all great athletes, if you don't believe in yourself, you don't belong in the sport. Breen is making a name for himself. This could be his night.
You hear the thousands of people cheering? It's because of these two guys right here. Dennis Anderson, Gravedigger, taking on the hometown guy, Gary DeMauro. Taurosaurus Rex ought to be a heck of a war.
They leave the lineup. Richard, it looks like Anderson's in two-wheel drive only. The rear wheels were the only ones spinning with horsepower during that shot.
But who cares if you're a fan? What a show Dennis Anderson out of Chesapeake, Virginia, and Gravedigger just put on, and he did it. He got the win by driving the Gravedigger with only rear-wheel drive.
Well, Dennis, you're doing it the hard way, two-wheel drive only, and the only two-wheel drive you have is in the rear. That's got to make driving completely different from when the truck is working right.
Yeah, it does, because when I come down on the front end, I really need those front wheels to be whirling so I can hold the truck straight. But I've made a pretty good pass that time, considering I had two-wheel drive, I thought.
So Dennis Anderson with the big win. The question's going to be, Army, can he hold up for later racing? As we see there, Rod Litzow, your defending national champion, USA 1 Chevrolet, and he's going to make a bye run because Bennett Clark and Clydesdale failed to come to the line. Do you have any idea what happened?
No, I really don't, Richard, but something that Anderson said in the interview a moment ago, it's amazing how important it is that all four wheels be working on these vehicles for them to work properly. I found that kind of interesting statement.
All right, Rod Litzow with the win, and an easy one.
Rod, basically an easy run for you. It's kind of just a checkout run.
Yeah, I'm glad I got that, because we had another problem. We blew the front drive shaft out. Just put that back together. Just rushing to get things back together. Things weren't going right these couple of races here, but all we can do is keep trying our best and go for it.
Being a national champion, you know everybody's coming after you all the time, but it really, from our viewpoint, it seems like these guys are really closing the door on you. They are coming after you every way they can.
Yeah, they are. Everybody's just, you know, redid their trucks all this year, and everybody's moving fast, and we're building a new one. I'll have a new one in April, and that's basically what it is. They're just moving up faster and faster all the time.
Well, the monster trucks will return a little bit later on, but when we come back, it is the Pro Stock Tractor Pull-Off from Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky, with more of Tuff Trax. And welcome back to Tuff Trax. It's time for the Pro Stock Tractor Pull-Off at the Championship Tractor Pull, part of the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky. Here's Mike Goss to set up the action.
The object of a tractor pull is to put it in the sand at the end of the track. We had 6 Pro Stock tractors do it. They're coming back in a pull-off with a heavier sled. Let's see what happens.
Well, here's a shot of John Masterson's pull a little while ago, and Army, he literally puts it on the beach.
You can't go any further than that inside this building without going outside the building. A beautiful run, but that's what it took to get to this round of eliminations, Richard.
You saw the sand go flying as we are ready for the pull-off now, and our first puller, Bill Borez out of Argos, Indiana. It is the Orient Express, and this is the guy that started it all way back when.
Well, Richard, he made the first full pull. He drew first in the class, but he also has to be the first one to go back in the pull-off. The driver sits patiently. Look at the concentration he has. Right hand on the throttle. All the gauges have to be reading just right. He nails the throttle. The feet go on the floor. It's up to the horsepower that this vehicle can produce. Notice the weight box comes up. The weight box is already topped out, Richard. Look at, he's muscling it.
He has got another full pull, Army.
Oh, raw horsepower. Put it out the end again, Richard.
Bill Borez gets his second full pull of the night. Remember, he broke a fuel line after the first full pull. He got it fixed. He comes back, and in the pull-off, he takes it the distance again.
Bill, 2 full pulls. Do you see anybody touching that?
They're going to have to work their ass off to do it, I'll say that. I think it's going to get a good run just to get it out because they got it really heavy. The old girl's running good, and I didn't come here to get second, so.
I'll tell you what, that is a sound of confidence from your leader now, Bill Borez with a full pull. Coming out next is going to be Mike Linder out of Edison, Ohio. He is driving the John Deere right now. International Harvester tractor is in first.
You know, Bill was talking a moment ago during an interview. That's not confidence. That's what Louisville will do to you. Everybody wants to win Louisville. Bill's on top. His tractor's red. A green tractor's going after him right now. Let's see what's going to happen. If you like the color green, it's time for you to get on your feet. The crowd's coming up. Not going to do it. Bill Borez is going to stay in that #1 spot. Mike will move into the #2.
Yeah, the Leprechaun did not bring Mike Linder good luck. His distance, 197.90. So Bill Borez will keep the top spot. As coming out next will be John Wilkins. John is out of Fresno, Ohio. He calls his tractor Shotgun Red. It also is an IH.
Everybody's working the starting line super right now. Pressure's on them. Front end comes up. These fellas, they are pros at this. They can read this track. It's just up to the pure raw horsepower. Every one of these drivers are making perfect runs. It's up to the horsepower of the vehicle.
Shotgun Red, John Wilkins, 230 feet in Army once again. The weight box was all the way at the front of the sled, and he kept on trucking.
These vehicles have stock appearing engines. The only thing, if you were to look at that engine that looks different from stock when it came off the production line, are the superchargers, the turbochargers. But what's inside the engine, that's the big secret. I will tell you one thing. When they roll to the sled and they put that horsepower in the track, you can almost feel the building shake when these awesome tractors start to make their run.
All right, Massey Ferguson fans, get ready. Here comes your tractor. It's Steve Roudabush out of Westville, Indiana.
Roudabush not developing the ground speed the other drivers have had. The weight catches him quick. But it's amazing, even after the weight box tops out, they keep muscling that sled for another 15 or 20 feet.
204.18 for Roudabush and the Massey Ferguson as we get ready for another International Harvester tractor coming out next. That'll be Randy Hinton out of Bancroft, Iowa. And Army, we are down to only 2 more tractors to go, and Bill Borez has got to be feeling pretty good right now, sitting in that #1 spot.
Well, at Louisville, they have a real nice award ceremony for the top 3 finishers. He's going to be staying in the building. He's going to be one of those 3, but I know from that interview, he still wants to win it. He's sitting there. They have to come after him. Let's see if they can do it. And believe me, they're going to go for him. It's down to almost a street fight situation now. Who wants it the most? We're going to find out in the Bluegrass State.
Look at the black smoke on top of that IH tractor. Randy Hinton finally stops it. 212.06 for Randy Hinton and the Red Rascal tractor. And Army, we are down to 1. Our final tractor. There he is, Bill Borez, your current leader. He is on pins and needles right now because he has got to get by this last guy. It is Don Masterson. It is the green John Deere tractor out of Granville, Indiana.
Southern Indiana native comes out. He's doing something different than the other drivers. He had to hit the right brake as soon as he left the starting line. Richard, he's not going to do it. The winner has been determined in 1989 in Louisville, Kentucky.
The River Rat gets 209.41. Bill Borez is celebrating. He is the king in Freedom Hall, Louisville, Kentucky, for this championship tractor pull. He is happy because he gets to take back to Argos, Indiana, that beautiful championship trophy and place it on his mantle. Mike Goss has Bill Morris down on the track right now. Look at that smile.
Bill, congratulations. You now own this Pro Stock class, this heavy Pro Stock class at the farm show. How many years in a row is it?
3 years in a row and 4 wins. Nobody's ever done that many times, and they'll come back next year, see if we can make her 4 and 5. So.
Congratulations to you.
Army, a great show by these Pro Stock tractors, and we're going to give you the final top 5 standings after this 6th tractor pull-off. Go ahead and give them to the fans.
MF Express finished number 5. Southern Indiana River Rat, he found up number 4. Red Rascal sets number 3. Shotgun Red finishes number 2. But tonight, Orient Express takes the first place money home.
Congratulations to Bill Borez for his win in Kentucky. When we come back, it is Monster Truck quarterfinal action from Long Island, New York with more of Tuff Trax. And welcome back to Tuff Trax. We're in the quarterfinal action of the Monster Truck Racing. Here's how they got there. Mad Dog beat Mopar Magic. He'll take on Playing for Keeps, our second fast loser in the first round. It's going to be the Gravedigger with a win over Tarosaurus Rex facing Bigfoot. Bigfoot got a victory over No Problem. Then we're going to see coming out USA 1 as he got the win over Clydesdale. Clydesdale broke down, never made it to the line. He'll take on Stomper, who got the win over the Wild Hair. And then finally, Carolina Crusher will be coming out. He'll take on our fast loser from the first round. That is the Wild Hair Machine. And Army, it is time for the quarterfinals, and boy, these rounds of competition get more important as we go along.
Richard, as we start the 1989 year, these trucks have found parity. Almost any of the trucks can win on any given night. It's amazing how close the competition's getting.
And our first quarterfinal race has John Breen, your top qualifier, Mad Dog, against Jesse Berge, Playing for Keeps. It's no contest.
No contest at all. John Breen is on a roll. You know, Breen, all weekend long, has been walking around here like a fox in a hen house. He has found something. Now, he's been experimenting with the people at Lonati camshafts to find some horsepower. I believe they found it. This could be the night for the Mad Dog.
So John Breen becomes our first semifinalist. Who will he face? Will it be? Oh, boy, get ready for a battle. It is going to be Bigfoot and Andy Brass out of St. Louis, Missouri, the powerful 540 cubic inch Ford engine. But looky here, Army, he is taking on the awesome Gravedigger of Dennis Anderson.
Well, Richard, looky here. This could be one of the best races of the year. However, I don't look for that, and the reason being, Anderson confided in us earlier during the interview, he only has rear-wheel drive. Now, believe me, when you go after Bigfoot, you better have both barrels loaded, and Anderson doesn't. He has one hope. That is to nail the blue Ford on the starting line. Andy Brass knows that. I look for Brass to make a good leave and to stay steady. Anderson is almost trying to fake him into a win. Let's see what's going to happen.
But remember, Gravedigger has 1,800 horsepower of engine going for him, so look for a win. There you go.
Bigfoot did exactly what he had to do. Andy Brass was not intimidated one bit. He will move on to the next round of eliminations. However, major problems developing in that left lane with the Gravedigger.
Dennis Anderson has broken down again, and there you see the problem. It is the rear drive shaft that has broken, and Army, the black cloud continues to hang over the Gravedigger.
And it's really strange. It's eerie, Richard, as we sit and watch the red light sitting patiently right in the middle of this arena with 20,000 people, and there it sits, not able to move.
So Dennis Anderson will take the Gravedigger back to the pit area as we get ready next for our current national champion, USA 1. That is Rod Litzow, and he is going to be facing a sister Chevrolet. It is Starvin, Marvin Smith, and Stomper.
Two of the most popular Chevrolet trucks on the tour. Let's see what's going to happen. USA 1, kind of interesting to me, Richard, that he's coming out of a lane that nobody else wants. Marvin Smith really feels like he has an advantage. He has what we're going to call the good lane this afternoon, but it's not going to work. USA 1 attacks the track. Litzow looks to be back in that winning form.
You see right there why Rod Litzow is your current national champion, as he just made a relatively easy run and got the easy win over Marvin Smith, and that surprises me because Stomper has really been running well lately.
He's been running awfully strong. What surprises me, again, is the lane choice. Now, remember, your lane choice is determined by the qualifying, and I actually thought USA 1 would go over in the other lane. Not to be the case. And he's running awfully good in that lane. I don't look for him to change.
There you see some of our spectators. Those are some of our former winners. John Breen and Andy Brass in the middle, the Bigfoot driver. Next to him, George Smith, the crew chief for Bigfoot. And here comes Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher, against Bob Breen and the Wild Hair.
Porter looking awfully strong this afternoon in New York, and stay strong. Gary Porter is making a statement. You're going to have to deal with him before the year's over. You might have to deal with him tonight. He's going to be in the next round.
Gary Porter gets a resounding win over Bob Breen and the Wild Hair. That means that Carolina Crusher will face the USA 1 machine in the semifinals coming up next.
Well, Gary, it looks like you're going to be going up against USA #1 to find out who the #1 Chevy is tonight.
Yes, he's very tough, and I've been running pretty competitive with him, so I think I can beat him tonight.
You know, Gary, honestly, I think this is the best weekend you've had on the tour. You've found what you've been looking for about 6 months, haven't you?
Yes, this is a new truck. It's been out 8 weeks now, and I think I finally found the right combination for it.
We're going to see you in the finals?
I hope so.
We're going to see you in the finals?
Yes.
We're going to have the semifinals coming up a little bit later on, but we'll be right back with an update about the world of TNT Motorsports on Tuff Trax. TNT Motorsports welcomes you back to Tuff Trax, where it's time for a new segment called TNT Update. Remember Gravedigger's wild qualifying run earlier? TNT's track officials could have shut the truck off if the run had become dangerous. Here's Army with Dennis Anderson of Gravedigger and TNT's Mike Snyder.
Standing next to me are two fellows on the opposite ends of the spectrum right now. Track official on my left, Mike Snyder, the driver of Gravedigger on my right. During the qualifying session, it looked like an awfully wild ride for you, and it actually looked to us like you were going on your top there for a second.
Yeah, I did stand it up pretty good.
What caused it?
I really don't know. I mean, I just got into a wheelie at first, and then when I came off the cars, I got into a nosedive, but I was just powering into it, and I had so much power going to the back wheels. As the motor gained RPMs, it just started coming up with me and bouncing at the same time.
Okay, you had the power going to the rear wheels. You did not have any power going to the front wheels. We're going to bounce over to this side now. You knew the situation. He had power to the rear, not to the front. Standing at the end of the track, you have to make a split-second decision. The decision is based on what you're holding in your hand right now, Mike, being the kill box. How do you make that decision? And why did you not kill his truck on that run?
Well, the kill switches are used, Army, in case it looks like somebody's going to get run over or somebody's going to crash into something. Dennis really wasn't in that kind of situation, but he was in a situation where he needed horsepower to recover from the attitude he was in. Had I shut him off at that point, I'd have caused an accident rather than prevent one.
Well, here's where you're going to find the TNT Motorsports All-American Pulling Series and Monster Truck Challenge races. There you see the massive tires of the Mad Dog Chevrolet of John Breen, one of our semifinalists here. And earlier today, Army spent time with John and Bob Breen, the Bad Breen brothers of Jefferson City, Missouri.
Well, if you follow sports of any kind, I know you've heard the name Jefferson City, Missouri. These people in that area are known to have winners. Not only one of the finest high school football programs every year throughout America, but also a unique brother combination on the monster truck circuit. Standing with me right now, driver of the Mad Dog and the Wild Hair that you watch chase these national points, John Breen on my left, Bob Breen on my right. Now, Bob, you came into the sport through a two-wheel variety. Can you tell us a little bit about your motorcycle experience?
Yeah, I started out motocrossing motorcycles. I raced probably 2 years, and it got to be a little rough on my body, so I went into drag racing motorcycles. I'd done that about 1.5 years there in Springfield, Missouri. And then my brother started in after Bigfoot built his first truck. John, we built us one, and we started out with 1,800 22.5 tires on. We used to drive it to the shows and crush cars and drive it home, and it just kept getting bigger, and now we've got this.
What does the sport have for the future? I know everybody's trying to put together sponsorships or looking at different product brands. Can you tell us about the Breen Boys Racing Toys racing team, what you have in the future there?
Well, right now we're working with George Dickel's Whiskey Company out of Dallas, Texas, and they're going to be our new sponsor for this summer season point series. And we're going to build a 1989 Ford pickup, and we're going to be campaigning it for them.
So it looks like the major corporation are teamed up with winning teams already, and we're going to be watching them. You're going to be part of all the action. Stay tuned.
Well, hold on to your seats when we return. It's the semifinals and finals of the Monster Truck Challenge from Long Island, New York on Tuff Trax. Welcome back to the Monster Truck Challenge of TNT Motorsports. We're in the semifinals. Here's how they got there. Mad Dog with a win over Playing for Keeps. He'll be taking on Bigfoot that beat the Gravedigger. Then we will see the current reigning national champion, USA 1, who defeated Stomper, taking on Carolina Crusher. They got an easy win over Wild Hair, but it all starts right here, Army, with Andy Brass and Bigfoot going up against John Breen and Mad Dog. Mad Dog has never in his entire career defeated Bigfoot.
Richard, you might not be able to say that in a minute. John Breen is almost destined tonight. It's amazing the confidence he has. He's got quick qualifying time. He's comfortable in the lane. This could be big for him. Breen comes out. He's going for, look at this. John Breen puts away Bigfoot. He'll be going into the final for the first time this year. He is pumped up.
John Breen with his first ever win over Bigfoot. He does it in a big way. Bigfoot got a jump on him at the starting line, but the awesome power of the Chevrolet comes through for the win. It is John Breen the winner.
John, you're going to the finals. These people in New York are behind you 100%. A beautiful run.
Well, I'm not going to let him down, I hope, anyway. It's the first time I've beat a Bigfoot truck.
Well, congratulations to you. In this sport, everybody wants to beat him. That is your first defeat of a Bigfoot vehicle?
Yeah, I've come real close time after time. That's the first time I put one down.
Maybe you're turning your luck around here.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
So who is going to face Mad Dog for the championship of New York? It will either be the reigning national champion, Rod Litzow, USA 1, or up-and-coming Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher.
Richard, something major is taking place. We've been talking all night long about Litzow running in the left lane. Porter has moved him over to the right lane. He's going to be running a different course. Porter going after an upset. Let's see what's going to happen. It is awfully close.
Very close at the finish line. I am looking down at the TNT official right now, waiting for the word. It is Rod Litzow. USA 1 has done it. He has beaten Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher. USA 1 moves to the championship.
Well, I want to congratulate both of these young men on a super run, but Rod, we received word at this random replay, you are going to the final.
I knew it was close. I knew it was going to be a tight race, but I'm pushing as hard as I can right now. I was glad to win.
John Breen seems to have found the handle on that Mad Dog. He wants you awfully bad tonight. Can you hang on and win it?
Yeah, I know. It looks like we're going to be going for blood on the next one.
Here you see a replay of that great race between USA 1 and Carolina Crusher. Right there at the starting line is where Rod Litzow got the jump. That propelled him to the win over Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher. Let's go trackside. Army's got to set up this championship match.
Long Island, New York, this is what it's all about. Mad Dog wants his first win. He's hungry. He's going to do everything he can to put away USA 1. The other side of the track, Litzow is going to try to do everything he can to stay on top. If there's ever been a war in this sport, it's going to take place right now. We're going to watch it together.
Well, the thousands of fans are on their feet in the Nassau Coliseum. Army, who you going to go with? USA 1 or Mad Dog?
Richard, I tell you, I'm going to pick Mad Dog because Breen has had a gleam in his eye all day long. He believes in himself. He knows he can win it. However, Litzow goes back to the other lane. Breen comes out on him. This is it. Richard, a major upset. First win of the tour for Mad Dog.
John Breen has done it. First off, he knocks off Bigfoot for the first time in his career. Now he gets his first ever championship, this one in New York.
Going to the bank on Monday morning. That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, they'll probably be waiting on me.
John Breen, a happy guy, as Mad Dog gets his first ever win over Bigfoot, then whips the defending champion, USA 1, for the second week in a row.
Well, we told you about John Breen and his brother having a research and development program. It's paid off, Richard.
Well, next week, more monster truck racing and pulling from Long Island and Louisville. For Army Armstrong, I'm Richard Leake. Join us again on the tracks across America for more of Tuff Trax.